Yo, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yo, what's happening, everybody? That's right. All right, we are here. We are live. This is the midweek report for January 15th, 2025. Yeah, we got the midweek report going. This right here currently live is on YouTube, just YouTube, just doing a few things here for what's going on, what's going down. So we definitely want to um try to get a few things going here with this particular midweek report. We have a few big topics here that we're going to be talking about. And try to see if I could, work on a few things here with this one and what's going on and what's going down. Hopefully, we get this thing working for a little bit because I might, kind of do this here a couple times here when it comes to the midweek report. But in reference to the Boxing Source podcast, we're going to handle that a little bit differently. You just gotta, work a few things here and there. But I'd like to thank everyone that will be listening in. Thanks for the support here for the Boxing Source. We want to, get in on a few things here, a few topics that are happening here when it comes to the sport of boxing, right? Wanted to, get this thing started and talk about a few things. We got a few major topics here that we're going to be talking about. I know that I am in preparation for an upcoming fight card in Philadelphia. So I'm looking forward to that. That is scheduled for Saturday. You know what I mean? So we're going to go over to Philadelphia for the Cohen Promotions card on Saturday. There's scheduled to be 13 bouts on that particular card. So yeah, it's going to be a marathon of sorts there when it comes to that, right? But outside of that, we're going to be talking about what had happened over the course of the weekend. Still some follow up on that, plus other news and notes here within the sport of boxing, because looks like we had still a lot of fallout from what happened with the Ring Magazine Awards in London, right? Shout out there, brother Steph, here on the live. You know what I'm saying there? Let me see here if I could get this thing on. You'll feel me. So, like I said, the support and hit the like button, hit the share button, and yeah, man, it's been a an interesting week here in the sport of boxing. Wanted to start off with still what was coming out of the Ring Magazine Awards. A couple of things that had been talked about from that, but also that Turki Alalshikh, of course, who is pretty much the new owner of Ring Magazine, has like his thing there where he has like a wish list of sorts when it comes to the 5 fights. I wanted to see here if I could, try a few things here, if we could do that. So wanted to see if I could get this thing going on, what's happening there. So, well, first, it's in reference to Turki Alalshikh. He says that there are 5 fights that he wants to see in 2025. Now, this is coming from, I think it's marca.com. I'm going to see if I can share it, see how this works. Let's see here how this goes. All right. Hopefully, you're able to hear me pretty well here as this thing is, giving this little view. So what he has here is he says that he wants to see Chris Eubank Jr. against Conor Benn. He wants to see Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. He says that he wants to see Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. And also that he wants to see Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia in a rematch. And then later on in the year, he would want to see Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois in a rematch there. Let me see. I want to get this thing back, make sure that, we have everything going. Hopefully y'all, heard that there. So you had those 5 fights, right? Yeah, Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, a rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, and a rematch with Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. All right, so want to go through these 5 fights and well the possibility of them happening and any other thing there that comes from these potential fights. First off, you got Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. There have been some reports or something like that fight is close to happening. That could be for a event that would happen in the UK under Riyadh Season or Ring, magazine and stuff like that. Now, some of y'all know about that fight that could have happened, but Conor Benn pretty much like tested positive for illegal substances or whatever it was, and pretty much got banned from the UK from fighting for about 2 years. So that's why a number of times he had the fights over in the US, right? So that's how Conor Benn was still able to have some fights, even though even though he was suspended in the UK, the UCAD or BBBFC or whatever it was, there had suspended him, right? But he was still able to get around that and have fights in the US. And we had fight against Pete Dobson last year. In 2023 he had a fight against Rodolfo Orozco, so he was able to get around that there a little bit by having the fights in the US. But now it seems like he's getting close to having the end of that suspension in the UK, and that opens the door for a fight against Chris Eubank Jr. So we have to see how that goes. Good question there. I wonder what Steph says. I wonder what he has for Naoya Inoue. We need a super fight for him these days too. Well, the thing is as far as like a super fight, a potential super fight for Naoya Inoue, who we got, man. You got Ben Rodriguez that's weight class below him. You got the thing there with his fellow countryman that's out there, Junto Nakatani, that's below him. Bam was like couple weight divisions below him currently. Junto Nakatani is a weight class below him at 118, and some folks thought, hey, maybe it could be Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nakatani, but I don't know about that. I don't know how far that goes. Remember, like Naoya Inoue was supposed to be there with Top Rank, and they had plans for Inoue to fight under a Top Rank banner in the US sometime around April. But that was going to be if Inoue was going to fight Sam Goodman in December. Didn't happen. Then it was postponed to January January 24th. That ain't happening. So we got Naoya Inoue versus Ye Jun Kim on the 24th, and then after that, now we just have no idea what else is going to happen, right? In reference to Naoya Inoue. But going back to that first thing there with Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. I mean, you got Chris Eubank Jr., right? Like he's basically out there, and he is competing in the middleweight division supposedly. Like he's supposed to be one of those highly ranked contenders in the middleweight division, but it looks like he isn't necessarily interested in going after a world title in the middleweight division, at least at this particular point, and instead may go ahead and have this bout here against Conor Benn. You have the unified champion there, Zanabek Alamhalala, with the IBF and the WBO, and you also have Arislan Delar with the WBA. Carlos Adames has the WBC, but he's facing Hamza Shiraz on February 22nd, right? So looking at those other options out there for Chris Eubank Jr., well, you see there, it's like, hey, professional fighter, and as a professional, you're trying to get, fights that could get you a good amount of money. So the most lucrative fight out there for Chris Eubank Jr., at least at this particular point, it seems like it's going to be against Conor Benn. So that's what it looks like they're going at, right? So yeah, it says what psychology of Ben is weird. He's skinny like he was 147. Hey, I mean that's something there, man. Because I just don't see here where Conor Benn could try to get something there at least at 147 pounds. You would have thought that maybe he could have angled for a fight against Mario Barrios for the WBC, welterweight title or against Jerome Boots Ennis for the IBF welterweight title. But nope. Nope. So I guess this is what they have here for Conor Ben. At least, for some people, it would be funny because this is the same guy that, when the fight was originally scheduled, he ended up, testing positive. Why even revisit it? But, I mean, hey, look at another one of those wish list fights that Turki Alalshikh had that has another fighter that pretty much gets another fight here after testing positive for an illegal substance. So I mean that's what they have with that, right? It says get Ben and other drug cheats out of here. And speaking of that, hey man, you got to comment there. Shout out to Just Do Boxing there. They had the topic of Errol Spence Jr. Posting on social media about a number of people that's cheating the sport. So yeah, a shout out to Matt from Brunch Boxing in the building. Yo, what's going on, brother Matt? Yeah, I'm doing things a little bit different here on the midweek report. I don't know if I might, do this more often with the midweek report, but pretty much just gonna have, this myself here and just have conversation with the folks on the chat on YouTube, and then it'll be maybe available on Rumble later on, and then on the whole thing with the Boxing Source podcast, we're gonna do that how I usually do it. Though it says people should not support Conor Ben. Hey. Listen, if you're going, they might plan something there for, Ring TV, Ring Magazine, something sanctioned fighting, and then have it over at, maybe at Wembley Stadium or Tottenham or something like that. You're going to still have a whole bunch of fans going out there to see the fight. I mean, it is what it is. But that's what, Turki Alalshikh has on the wish list, right? So that was the first one. Second one they had was Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. Well, I mean, we all saw what Tyson Fury said there a couple of days ago. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm retiring from the sport. What was it? Who had a mask? I don't know, man. You talk about the whole thing with the robbery or whatever happened in his fights against Alexander Usyk, whatever. He said that he's retired. Do we believe him? I don't believe him. I don't necessarily believe him. And a fight between him and Anthony Joshua in the UK would garner a lot of money still at this particular juncture. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be next for either fighter. I feel like Anthony Joshua will have a fight in the interim and get himself like back in the ring, back sharp and whatever it is before he has his next fight in 2025. But still, this is one of the more attractive bouts out there in the heavyweight division, and of course, it's something that the UK has been clamoring for years. It's been since like 2016 since folks have asked for that fight, at least in the UK, and here we are almost 10 years later, and we still haven't gotten that fight. All right. So, and next up, number 3 in Turki Alalshikh's wish list is Santoso Alvarez Barragan versus Terence Crawford. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I know some folks out there thinking that Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford is a super fight. I know that you have, both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford among the top 5 within the top 3 for some in the pound for pound rankings. But like it's not necessarily an attractive fight for me, particularly if it's going to be there at the super middleweight division. There with Canelo, of course, being the lineal champion at super middleweight, the former undisputed super middleweight champion there at super middleweight, and with Terence Crawford, of course, 2 division undisputed champion at 140 and 147, has a world title at 135, WBO world title at 135, and then moving after from 147 to 154 to get the WBO interim title and the WBA full title, super title, there at 154. So he'll be potentially going up to 168 to fight Canelo Alvarez. And yes, I know that Canelo has talked about Seeing if he has a another super fight there that could be available for him. But a number of people wanted him to fight David Benavidez, and well, that ain't happening. And with Terence Crawford, yes, he's in the camp there, BNB. He has a number of fighters that fight in this super middleweight division that he has sparred and worked with for years. Like Steven Nelson, pretty much like they're like or like Ashford and Simpson or some joint. I don't even know, but he's been working with Steven Nelson, for the majority of Steven Nelson's career. And, Steven Nelson is, still currently undefeated and is going up against Diego Pacheco on January 25th. So he has, a level of work with fighting much bigger guys or being in the ring with much bigger guys. And, he has like a good base when it comes to fighting, but I just feel like this is a whole different animal here with this, or trying to have this particular challenge, right? And yeah, it's seeming like this fight could happen in September. Man, I don't know. I don't know about that. Plus, we're talking about Terence Crawford that has had one fight a year since through 2020. He's only had like 2 fights in 2019, and then every year since it's been one fight a year. Going up against a guy in Canelo Alvarez that has, been on there May, September, and kept it consistent there over the past few years. So it's going to be I feel like it's a very difficult challenge there for Terence Crawford if he's going to go ahead and make that happen there for September. And, for me, I just feel like there's other more attractive bouts out there, for both fighters than for these two to fight each other. And, for me, I just don't feel like it would get the returns that the folks at the top would potentially look for in that potential bout. And if Turki Alalshikh wants to try to, make this happen, you're going to be selling a lot of money. I've seen some reports about what his net worth is, but you're gonna be shelling out a lot of dough for this particular fight to take place, whether it's in the U.S. or wherever. It still don't matter. Feel me? So, like for me, I've kind of like asked for it, like Terence Crawford versus Bruce Ennis. Okay, y'all can't have that. Okay, cool. Terence Crawford versus Jermell Charlo. Let's make it happen. Terence Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. Let's make it happen. There's multiple fights that are available there at 154 pounds that Terence Crawford could have, but it seemed like he would be really interested in them. I mean, we already see that he's not interested in a fight between himself and Sebastian Fundora. Like, you could be the WBO mandatory for Sebastian Fundora and still not go ahead and have a fight. So that just tells you right there. You feel me? That just tells you that he isn't necessarily down with kind of like having fights against a number of these potential opponents at 154 pounds. And it's almost like he's like Canelo or nothing, or Canelo or bust here at this particular point. And I know that he made a tweet about like, hey, I'm going to show y'all, I'm going to prove y'all wrong once again, or I'll show you how great I am, that type of stuff there. So I guess it'll be a good, 8 months or so before we figure out, what happens there if that fight does take place. So that's another one, right? Now, another one on the list, Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney 2. It seems like they really are, real close, or they pretty much like agreed to terms for this particular fight. But I'm like this, man. I mean, what else is out there for Devin Haney? What else is out there? You have what happened on April 20th of last year, and then ever since then, it's been like really, really crazy there for Devin Haney. I would have felt like he would have at least had some type of fight in the interim there in 2024 after what happened, and still, have, what happened outside of the ring happen outside of the ring. But he's like, nope. And then you have what happened over the weekend in London, where he and Bill Haney were just pursuing Ryan Garcia, and I'm like, man, just go ahead and just try to get this fight done. Just get it done. You know what I mean? I've said this multiple times over. Like, you could have handled it like how Deontay Wilder handled the fight that he had against Tyson Fury in the rematch. I mean, you don't necessarily have to do a video, because I don't know if you can feel like well, who was it, Dave Chappelle, or as I call him, Dave Chappelle. If you don't you don't want to necessarily call him a crab in a bucket referee, and you certainly ain't gonna call your own father a disloyal trainer. Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily say that he would have a video like that, right? But at least if it was something like outside of the ring, as far as like say, hey, you know what? I know that they have this thing where they have you suspended, but I want my get back. If you would have just said, hey, you know what? I want my get back. All the stuff that happened over the past year, I mean, you could have like erased all that, but nope. Mm-mm. I still feel like the way that he handled it wasn't a good look. Just being honest, just feel like it wasn't a good look. You feel me? What he said? Steph says it certainly looks like Bud is controlling his own career. It's on that. Big money is what he said. Terence Crawford is getting whatever he's able to negotiate and whatever these people are willing to agree to. For me, it's kind of surprising in this sense with Turki Alalshikh, because given what happened on April 3rd in Los Angeles, I don't think those returns were all too high. I'm just being honest. But again, it's Turki Alalshikh. If he feels like he has money to blow, if he feels like he is willing to take those large risks there, as far as like taking those significant losses, hey, that's I guess kudos to him for some people, right? But at least in all these other avenues, when it comes to dealing with Top Rank, when it comes to dealing with Premier Boxing Champions or Heyman Boxing or TGB Promotions, when it comes to whatever happened there with BOK Prime in 2022, just didn't necessarily work out. So here, this is something where I guess his next fight will be the first time where he would be, under, I guess, a promotional umbrella for 2 consecutive fights for some time. You know what I mean? Yeah, it says Champion says shout out to interview to Jesus Ramos there, Arizona boxer. Yep. Yeah, for those that don't know, we have a interview there with Jesus Ramos Jr. He's going to be fighting Jason Rosario, former unified 154-pound champion. It is listed to be in the middleweight division, but that will be the first bout on February 1st on Amazon Prime pay-per-view. Therefore, that David Benavidez versus David Morrell Jr. bout, or a headliner, there at the T-Mobile Arena. Yeah, so yeah, there it is. So yeah, shout out to Champion on that. But yeah, the whole thing with this Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, I've said this for months and months and months. The most lucrative fight that would have been available for Devin Miles Haney would be a rematch against Ryan Garcia. Now the question is, where is that fight going to be? Las Vegas? Probably, most likely. I mean, I don't see where else it could be. I don't see it being back at the Barclays, when you could get more money, much more money, hosting it in Vegas. It won't, or maybe it'll be in California. I mean, both of them from California. Maybe it could be in California, but I just feel like it will be really interesting bout for those two, Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, to have a rematch. Yeah, middleweight. Yep, they scheduled it for to be at the middleweight division. It won't be this. I guess this will be a one-off for both of them there. But yeah, they're gonna have Jesus Ramos and Jason Rosario competing in the middleweight division there for their fight on the Amazon Prime pay-per-view card February 1st. Feel me? Seth says San Francisco again. No, I don't think it'll be in San Francisco. Might be in Los Angeles, but I don't think it'll be in San Francisco. That's too close to Devin Haney, and Ryan Garcia wouldn't necessarily agree to that. Like, to me, Ryan Garcia is the one that basically holds the cards in this thing there. He's the one that at the time came away with the win. He's the one that has the more value to in comparison to the two. So I don't think he would agree to having this fight in San Francisco. Like, what, have it at the Chase Center or whatever, what is that called there, that stadium? No, probably in Los Angeles. I mean, that ain't far from Victorville. You gotta, go through a little drive on that interstate or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, have it over in Los Angeles. But if not, have it in Las Vegas. Most lucrative to have it in Las Vegas. Feel me? Or SoFi, or the what, I forgot what it's called now. The Great Western Forum. It used to be the Great Western Forum, but way back in the day, Lakers days. But I don't think it would be in the Forum. That venue might be too small. SoFi, nah, I don't think so. They be able to get more money from it going to T-Mobile, so I feel like that would be the move. They're gonna have that rematch, having it in T-Mobile Arena. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then what was it? The next fight they had on here was Alexander Usyk versus Daniel Dubois 2. Well, I mean, you have Daniel Dubois after his first bout against Alexander Usyk, went on a winning streak, went on a stoppage, pretty much had stopped everybody, stopped Jarrell Miller, stopped Philip Hergovich, stopped Anthony Joshua, and now has an upcoming bout against former WBO heavyweight champion, now currently the interim champion until they have to fight, Joseph Parker. And he's defending the IBF title there against Joseph Parker on February 22nd. If he goes ahead and gets this win, then yeah, he's going to be right there at number 2 at heavyweight, with Usyk being, of course, a clear-cut number 1. Now, Turki Alalshikh said that maybe Usyk would have a couple of fights before this particular rematch, but with Alexander Usyk, I'm like, who else could he fight? Who else would he fight? You're gonna have any voluntary defenses of the world titles that he has, or is it something there where he might not even care about titles at this point? Who knows? Because I mean, you already fought Fury twice. You already fought Anthony Joshua twice. We know about the situation here with Deontay Wilder and what's reported there for Deontay Wilder, right? So who else is out there that's available for Alexander Usyk to fight? We have to wait it out. Maybe you have to figure out what also happens on February 22nd, as you have Agakabio facing Zhilei Zhang for the WBC interim title, right? And maybe the winner of that would be next in line to face Alexander Usyk. I mean, you got Zhilei Zhang there, not only at number 3 in the WBC. I don't know if it might have changed, but I don't think it would. But he's also number 1 in the WBO, right? So if Zhilei Zhang wins against Agakabio, you can have Zhang versus Alexander Usyk. Now, I don't know where that fight would be at, but hey, it is what it is, though. Shout out, salute the real prison talk with Tommy, man. Salute to you. Shout out once again, with your super chat that you had on from the other day. But yeah, that was the 5 fights that Turki Alalshikh had as far as like his wish list there for 2025. Now, I mean, that is definitely different than what I had posted there for a wish list in 2025. See if I could go ahead and share this joint here, man. I'm gonna see if I could do that. Let's do this, and hold on, y'all. Let's see what we got. Yeah, if y'all got me on here, let's see. So what I have here, number 1, Terence Crawford versus Jermell Charlo at super welterweight. That's why I got it. That's why I got it as one of them. Number 2, Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson at lightweight. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't even have that on the list, even though you had the whole little back and forth with Turki Alalshikh, Ring Magazine, and Tank Davis. And that we're going to visit that here later. Who else I have at number 3? Zhilei Zhang versus Martin Bakole. Come on. We got to have this, man. Two giants going up against each other. Man, that would be a crazy fight. All right, and number 4, I got Jermall Charlo versus Demetrius Andrade at super middleweight. Long overdue for Andrade to fight either one of those Charlo brothers, right? Number 5, Jaron Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz Jr. Could have fought at welterweight. Ortiz had the weight problems. He's now at super welterweight. He does have a fight coming up February 22nd against Israel Madrimov. But eventually, we're going to see Jaron Bruce Ennis at 154 pounds later in his career. We got to see if we can have this fight before the end of 2025. Number 6, this is the super fight that I was mentioning. Naoya Inoue versus Junto Nakatani in Japan, Tokyo Dome. It would do crazy numbers. And then at number 7, Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder at heavyweight. Like, we have that. We got to have that. We got to have. He says injury. Come on, man. Oh my goodness. Come on, Steph. Don't do that, man. He's like Andrade. Demetrius Andrade. Goodness gracious. Come on, Steph. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. Now, those were like 7 fights that I had there on the list for the wish list there for 2025. Of course, it's completely different than what Turki Alalshikh had. Like I was mentioning there with this Canelo Crawford talk, I'm like, listen, I know that Terence Crawford, is a competitor, always has been a competitor, always pretty much will be a competitor. But they got this thing here with these weight classes, and I mean, you know what it is. What affected my thoughts about it was what we saw with Canelo and Jermall Charlo. And Jermall Charlo, once he got hit with a couple of those super middleweight punches or the rehydrated super middleweight punches, he was like, nah, man, I'm good. Terence Crawford, he'll be a competitor, but I don't know. And I feel like he would kind of like be out of his element at times against Canelo Alvarez. And that would mean that he wouldn't necessarily be, a counterpuncher of sorts. Now, his frame and that type of thing makes him a unique matchup against Canelo, but Canelo has fought multiple fighters that are much taller and have a much longer reach, and has been able to make them pay every single time. So that's why I'm not necessarily interested in a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford at the time. Now, I mean, if they have it locked down, and if it's September and we get close to September and my attitude changes, I mean, hey, it is what it is, or it isn't what it is, because I don't think my attitude is going to change about the fight. Nope, nope, it won't. I don't see it. All right, so with that, hold on, Steph. He says resume is horrible, and that's why David got rid of him in 6 rounds. Come on, man. He at least was boxing pretty well there against David Benavidez. I'm like, come on. It was a middleweight versus a light heavyweight in that particular fight. I'm like, come on. That's what we had. It was a middleweight against a light heavyweight. That's what happened. Okay. But yeah, as far as like this thing there with Canelo and Crawford, some fans may be interested in it, some fans may not. I mean, 168, I know 168 might not be too attractive for a number of fight fans as far as like other fighters that are out there, other contenders that are out there. You got Christian Billy, you got Lester Martinez, you got Diego Pacheco, you got Steven Nelson. Well, we had, the thing there with Jaime Munguia, and we see what happened with that. And that's why they're setting up a rematch between him and Bruno Sarachi, right? You got Osles Iglesias, right? So, yeah, on paper, that isn't necessarily attractive to a number of fight fans. Yes, you still have Caleb Plant competing there at the 168-pound division, but you see what happened when he faced Canelo there for at the time, the undisputed super middleweight titles, and he ended up getting stopped. So, yeah, but I feel like the thing there with Canelo is he just don't want to go up to 175, one, and then two, he didn't want he didn't want action with David Benavidez or David Morrell Jr. because both of those fighters are, of course, better at 168 than any of the fighters that I mentioned. So, come on. If you're gonna continue your career at 168 pounds, at least have something where people will be like, "Oh man, I know that this is going to be a fight." With Terence Crawford has the name, but some people be like, "Yeah, but he was at 154 and had one fight at 154, been at 147. Like, are we sure that this is going to be a fight?" And that's kind of like how it is there in that front, right? So if we get the news, we get an announcement on that, then I mean it is what it is on that front, at least for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I just feel like the joint is like, I'm just being honest with y'all. I don't like the bout. I just don't like the bout. Yeah, I just don't like the bout. Okay, and that's all I gotta say about that. Now, let's see here. Man, I don't even know if I could really pull this joint off, but man, you got all the stuff that went back and forth between Tank Davis and Terence Crawford, of course. And hey, says I always watch too. God dang, man. Now, of course, this stems from, like I said, past weekend, you had the thing there with the Ring Magazine Awards, and you had a whole bunch of fighters out there and all that type of stuff. And Tank just said, "Hey, like you see all of them fighters, you see who's out there. Basically they got to be out there because they can't really make any real money anywhere else. I don't have to do that. I can do what I do just right here in the States." And so he, pretty much like went at every one of those fighters that are out there. And, now you had the back and forth with him and Terence Crawford. And, the thing about like Terence Crawford, and he talked about how I kind of like, explained it there with Terence Crawford as far as like where he has been, as far as like moving from Top Rank, having a one-off in BOK Prime, having a one-off at, PBC, having a fight against Israel Madrimov under, the thing there with Turki Alalshikh. And, Tank was like, yo, I mean, he ain't really moving like that. And so that's how it started. It was like a back and forth in reference to the financials between Tank Davis and Terence Crawford. And, Tank Davis, they have that saying there with Tank Davis, the face of boxing, right? And so Terence Crawford, had responded and all that. And then Tank just, went off, talking about, Crawford's family and this and that. And of course, well, the thing there specifically his wife, but it just went, insane there for someone when it came to that. And, with Tank, I'm here to tell y'all, like, nothing is off limits when it comes to Tank Davis. Y'all know that. So it could be anything or anybody. If he feels like you cross the line with him, he gonna go there. And so, yeah, they comment about Crawford's wife. A lot of people were shocked about it, but just being honest with me, I ain't shocked about it. Y'all y'all follow Tank. Come on. He's made comments about a certain, not a reporter, but what would you say, a promoter slash manager or something like that, about what that particular person did in the past. So if they're willing to talk about that, they'll talk about anybody. And even after this whole thing back and forth, he had one other post in reference to his I guess what, like him being at 5'4" or something like that, and chick like made a comment and he just went and roasted them too. So like I said, nothing, absolutely nothing is off limits when it comes to Tank Davis. So I know that both of these guys are competitors and all that type of stuff. And I know what Leonard Ellaby said a couple of years ago when a reporter asked him a question in reference to Tank Davis and a potential fight between him and Terence Crawford, where Leonard Ellaby famously said, Tank is a 135-pound fighter. Crawford is a 147-pound fighter. Yeah, that's what he said at the time. But man, listen, Tank, if there was like a challenge out there, like that would be posed to Tank, and that was potentially out there, if Crawford kind of like went to a certain point with Tank, he'd be like, nah, we have to get this in the ring. Probably say outside the ring too. But I mean, still, that's kind of like something there that could be put out there. But hey, listen, that's why you have these potential fights that could be suggested. I mean, shoot, you got what I said with Crawford and Canelo, right? So with this, I'm like, maybe, but it's a far cry. But listen, that would be something. If it was potentially out there for Tank, I feel like he would go ahead and take that. But in the meantime, though, he's getting prepared for his bout March 1st against Lamont Roach Jr. as part of a deal that said that it was reported that he is part of a 7-fight deal under Amazon Prime pay-per-view. It could be valued at $200 million. I'm not saying that it is that. I'm just saying that it was put out there, right? So if that's potentially the case, what do we have here? We had Frank Martin and you have Lamont Roach. That's 2. We got about 5 fights left potentially on that deal. We're supposed to have him on for 2 times in 2024, and it didn't happen. So, Tank goes ahead. Okay, all right. Is that what you say? Okay. All right, let me move forward here. Like I said, potentially a 7-fight deal, $200 million reported, or supposedly, or whatever it is. It's not confirmed. I'm not confirming it. It is what it is. But if it's something like that, then I'll tell you this: this is not much different than the deal that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had with Showtime. And to bring up someone, Steven Espinoza, who was the, pretty much a catalyst of that deal with Floyd Mayweather Jr., so to speak. You seen what happened with that. You had the Maidana fights. You had the Canelo fight. You had Pacquiao. You had the Andre Berto fight to close out. But still, that particular deal, I think Robert the Ghost Guerrero was also part of that too, right? So you had a number of those fights that were part of that deal under Showtime, and he had the pretty much the coup de grace, or whatever you want to call it, there with the Manny Pacquiao. So I think that was part of making sure that deal was put into place, was to make sure they were able to have Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight Manny Pacquiao. Now with Tank Davis, if they're gonna follow this same type of blueprint, question is, who is the fighter that would stand out there for Tank Davis? Could it be Shakur Stevenson? Could it be Vasyl Lomachenko? Could it be Keyshawn Davis? Nah, I don't know if it's Keyshawn Davis, but I think it would be either one of Shakur Stevenson or Vasily Lomachenko. If they feel like that particular fight, if it comes up, that it'd be lucrative enough to make sure that it happens, and they will be able to go forward with it. So at least there with that type of deal that's out there, I just feel like, hey, he's gonna fight at least one of those guys. And I mean, they said there from years ago. Well, it wasn't like it was probably a couple years ago. The dog's out the cage, and now Tank Davis is out there to pretty much go after any of those fighters that are within the 135-pound division. That say that a number of people claim that he won't fight. It's professional boxing. Like you ain't scared of nobody in professional boxing. It just is what it is. So you eventually will see one of those fights happen. If not, then it's all about financials, nothing else. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here first on March 1st against Lamont Rose Jr. and how Tank approaches this particular fight. Of course, they have the amateur history. You see there with Lamont Rose Jr. Of course, he's a former world champion at 130 pounds. Well, Tank Davis was a former champion at 130 pounds. Yeah. So even with that being said, right, I have to see how things is going in camp. I may have another visit. I might have another visit there with Lamont Rose Jr. But I do have scheduled a conversation with his younger brother, Jordan Roach, and also Ben Johnson that will be part of that Pro Box card that's going to happen here next Friday. Well, not here next Friday, but they're going to be in Plant City, pretty much around Plant City or whatnot, next Friday for the Pro Box TV card, right? So we're going to have a conversation with both of those fighters here scheduled for later this week. I don't think it'll be tomorrow. Actually, it might end up being on a Sunday. I think we had it scheduled for Sunday there. So Mont vacating his 130-pound title. Well, it's the same situation as what happened when you had the thing there with Garcia, right? With Hector Luis Garcia. He went in that fight against Tank Davis as a WBA champion at 130 pounds. And if he would have won that fight, he would have had the choice to keep the belt at 135 or go back down to 130. He lost. So he went back down to 130 and faced Lamont Rose Jr. Same situation here. Lamont Rose Jr., he wins the fight against Tank. He has a choice, keep that 135 belt or go back down to 130. If he loses, he has to face the highest rated contender out there in the WBA rankings at 130. So same situation. Same situation. Who do they have here at 130? The interim champion is Albert Bardagaziev. Yeah, Albert Bardagaziev. So after this particular fight on March 1st, if Lamont Rose Jr. does not defeat Tank Davis, he has to face Albert Bardagaziev or he'll relinquish that 130-pound title. That's how that situation goes. Right. So that's what it is. Feel me? So that being said, we have to see how things go here for March 1st. Like I was mentioned before, I have to see probably since Lamont Roach Sr. and them is out, over by Florida, whatnot. And then after the following week they come back. I have to see if I catch Lamont Rose Jr. before the February 1st card. We'll see. We'll see on that. We'll see. May have another conversation with Lamont Rose Jr. Maybe at the gym, maybe not, but we'll see. So that's the thing on that one, right? But that's most of the stuff there that it could kind of like went down here on what was happening there over the course of this past week. I know that you have the whole thing there back and forth between Floyd Schofield Jr. and Shakur Stevenson. They had the little thing there as far as like Schofield Jr. not making it to that press conference for the February 22nd card there due to passport issues. I mean, it is what it is on that front. So we have to see how that goes. But like I said, I mean, we got some fights that are on the schedule here. Like I was mentioning, I'll see about this fight card in Philadelphia. We have sharpshooter Greg Outlaw that's going to be on that fight card there at the 2300 arena. This is Cohen Promotions card. He will be on that particular fight card. You're also going to have Ciara Brown on that fight card. I'm looking forward to that because there was something it was a statement made by the WBC champion Sky Nicholson in that weight class, and Ciara Brown is supposed to be a mandatory challenger. And I think Sky Nicholson made a comment of, we sent a offer out there and didn't get a response back. I'm like, wait, what? Like, y'all serious? Like, this is something that Ciara Brown has been waiting for, for her whole career. And you mean to tell me that that she didn't have a response? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. She said that she's had the contract for 2 weeks and I'm still waiting for signature. Hold on. Let me see if I can share this joint. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me see if I could share this particular tab there. Yeah, there. All right, bet. Hopefully y'all get this here. Said that Ciara Brown has had the contract for 2 weeks and is still waiting to see a signature. But it looks like she wants a warm-up fight. Not that it's going to help her. Okay. Well, we see here there's fight week there for the joint that's happening at 2300 Arena. I guess it's scheduled to have the weigh-ins on Friday over there in Philadelphia. I might have to, hit up my guy YSM to see if he's going to be, out there for the weigh-ins and stuff like that. But I do want to hear from Ciara Brown as a response to, what Sky Nicholson said. I mean, I have to see here, what's going to happen, because that right there. Interesting to say the least. But we'll see what happens here on that front. Like I said, I'll see what happens on that Cohen Promotions card on Saturday, and that's going to be one of the fights that I'll focus on. Of course, you got Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw that's on that card. You also have Bruce Seldon Jr. on that card. Yeah, that's right. The Bruce Seldon's kid is on this card as well. So going to look forward to that too. But like I said, scheduled to have 13 fights on the card. Huh? Ooh, yeah, that's still. Oh wait, hold up. Right now, it seems like I don't see the thing there with Bruce Seldon Jr. on the schedule. Man, they might have scratched it. Oh man. Oh well. Hey, but at least they look like it still have Hammer and Hank Lundy on this card. So you do have a local Philly fighter that's still competing, even though he claimed that he retired like some time back. Now he's back here in the ring. So yeah, that's gonna be an interesting fight card there at 2300. All right. I think it's supposed to be either on the Zone or something like that, or BXNG TV. It might be on one of those. I'll confirm that on that front, but we'll see what they got there. Because if y'all wanted to go ahead and check it out, y'all could see it there in some form of fashion. Might be able to share that information, whether on social media there through Twitter/X or through Instagram there. But you can follow Cohen Promotions on Instagram for more information about that particular fight card that's coming up on Saturday. But I mean that's what we do here on the Boxing Source. We go to these fight cards that are could be in Philadelphia, could be Atlantic City, could be over here in the DMV area or whatnot, and also try to make a few of these big events that happen over the course of the year. We're trying to get all of this content here for the people that follow the sport of boxing. So that's how we do things here on the Boxing Source. So with that being said, I mean, one of the make this thing quick here for the Boxing Source Midweek Report. We might have a couple more things on the schedule here for this particular channel. Once again, thanks for all the support here. Thanks for participating on the live chat. We'll get a few other things here situated when it comes to the Boxing Source, or whether it's a YouTube channel or through social media, or actually one other thing here. I know that this one is like a little bit of an additive, but we did add something else to the Boxing Source website. This kind of like goes into more of what I've been doing as a photographer. So open up a page called Ring Card City. There that kind of like focuses on what happens in between bouts. When you have of course the ladies there holding up the ring cards and that type of stuff there. So we might try to follow up a few things on that as we go to more of these events. So y'all be sure to also check out that page there on the boxingsource.net. But subscribe to the boxingsource.net as we try to get articles on there. We put up also share links to the videos, interviews that we have here from the YouTube channel on that site. Yeah, so here's what it is. Steph says, funny that PBC doesn't do ring girls. Yeah, it's been, man, I think the last time any type of PBC type of event had ring girls was what, 2022? Maybe before that, but I think 2022. Yeah, I gotta go back because it might have been that Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero fight. Could have been that one, but I know they had it for Tank's fight against Yuriorkis Gamboa. I know that, but outside of that, I think they may have had it for the Tank versus Rolly Romero fight. So we'll see there. I mean, of course, I've talked with a few people in reference to that particular subject, and yeah, I'm not sure they're gonna be doing that again anytime soon. I'm just saying. But I don't know. Maybe if there's a push from the people, maybe it could happen. But as of right now, no, I'm not seeing it happen anytime soon. But with that being said, that's it as far as like what we got here. This is within an hour. Wanted to do the midweek report for an hour time, and we're pretty much like at that particular point. So that's what I'll close it out as here for this particular version of the midweek report for January 15th, 2025. We'll be right back at it here with the Boxing Source podcast scheduled for Sunday, 7:30 Eastern time, and try to get some content from the events there at 2300 or whatever it is, whenever I get there or something like that. And just be sure to follow the Boxing Source on YouTube there for that particular event stuff as far as like what's going on with that event too. All right. So once again, thanks for joining here for the Boxing Source Midweek Report, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.